Can a sweater stitch together the world? As we're increasingly aware of just how removed we are from how where our clothes are made, maybe a better question is, could a sweater become a symbol of how the world could be stitched together in the effort to create a more ethical and sustainable production model? According to the Global Fashion Agenda and the Boston Consulting Group 2017 Pulse of the Fashion Industry report, the fashion industry as a whole rates just 32 out of 100 on sustainability. As our population continues to grow, and it's more evident just how stretched our resources are, we think it's important as a brand to look at the impact we're having and to make sure that that impact isn't a negative one, and just really see how we can behave responsibly, both environmentally and also socially. All right, a little about me. My name's Julie Conroy. I grew up just outside of London. I learned how to knit and sew as a child, as most girls of my generation did. I'm actually pretty bad at it, so I'm not the one that does the knitting. I'm much more visual than hands-on. I studied photography and design in Western Australia at the Institute of Technology there. And I came to New York in '95. So I've been working in mostly the photography and design industries since I've lived here. To know a little about our company, it's first important that you know about the woman behind it. Anya Cole who is actually in the audience here tonight. Anya Cole grew up in communist Poland. Her mother's mantra was, if you need it, you make it. And that mindset took Anya through her career as a ballet dancer, to when she was living in West Germany after she defected from Poland. She was a single mother. She was knitting to financially support herself. And that mindset took her through to when she started her company here in New York City. So Anya's first collection was in fall 2012. I came on board fall 2014, initially as her image director. I was becoming more aware of the environmental and social impact that the fashion industry was having. So I decided that we should look closer at what our company was doing in these areas. Being part of the industry, I felt really it's my responsibility to make sure our impact isn't a negative one. And what I found just by looking was that unintentionally Anya had actually created a company that was built on a socially ethical production model. Our sweaters are hand knit here in New York City. And Anya insisted that that's what we would do as a company, because really being hands-on was the only way she knew how to work. Our knitters actually live in the 5 boroughs of the city. And when we have orders, they come to us to pick up their sweaters, to go over the piece they're going to knit, get their yarn. They then take that home, bring it back to us when the piece is finished. So most of these women are mothers or grandmothers who are raising children, and being able to work from home really gives them the freedom to be able to put work around their home life, their family, and also just not having to worry about the high cost of childcare. So every piece that we knit contains the signature of the woman who knit the piece. There's an example up there. It's 1 to 4 lines of colored thread. It's a small symbol. It's just a small piece of thread. But it's this that humanizes our production chain. It's this unique signature that represents the woman who was responsible for crafting this piece that we send out from the studio. And it's this symbol that connects her to you, of the person who may end up wearing the sweater. Even in the luxury industry, supply chains are complex and difficult to navigate, and they can often scan multiple regions. By keeping our production local, we're able to personally know who's making all of our clothing, and also we're able to set the price that's paid directly to each knitter. Another step on our journey to becoming a more sustainable company happened about 2 years ago when we were introduced to a company called June Cashmere. who are ethically sourcing yarn from small family farms in the Alai Valley of Kyrgyzstan. So we decided it was important to journey to this region, I actually went, to see firsthand the initiatives that they said they were putting forward to help people stay on the villages that they grew up in. So it was also a really good opportunity for us to be able to put a face on the people that were producing the fibers from this cashmere that we were going to be using. So I took 5 days traveling around with people from the company, and I met the men and women who herd the goats, coordinate the villages, and buy the fibers. And I discovered a close-knit community who were being given an opportunity to earn money from the goats that they keep on their family farms, whether that's 1 or 100. I was there during combing season, and I got to travel around with local employees from village to village while they were buying the fibers from these people, no matter how small the amount. And I saw people with little bags of 20 grams of fibers, right through to people who had multiple kilos. This company's also putting initiatives into place to train them on how better manage their herd and collect their fibers. And they're re-energizing an industry that was basically lost after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And it was just incredible for us in the modern age when production chains are automated and anonymous, to be able to put a face on every step of the supply chain, from the person who's herding the goats in Central Asia right through to the woman in New York City who was knitting the final piece. So, what is the cost of an ethically responsible production model? In the luxury sector, spending $2,000 and up on a sweater is not unusual, and that's where our price point sits. So how do we justify that as being the cost of a sweater? In the 2017 Pulse of the Fashion Industry report, they stated that in general, production accounts for 28% of the cost of a garment, and 65% of that goes to wages. In our production model, 40 to 50% of the total cost of a sweater actually goes directly to labor, directly to our knitters. So then, what I want to ask is, shouldn't true luxury being able to know who made your clothing, and that that person was paid a fair price for their work, and that traditional skills and craftsmanships are being kept alive? Right now, Hanya is just a small company. But we have about 100 knitters on our books. About 45 of them work for us regularly. And right now, we really don't have that much work to be more than supplemental income for these women. But wouldn't it be amazing if making production a significant part of the cost of goods sold became a widespread business model? What would that world look like? It could be the difference in a developing nation between someone living below the poverty line and someone earning a living wage. How about if we put a premium on skills and craftsmanship? What if we take a cottage industry method and apply it to a contemporary business? We could expand opportunities for women who would be able to work from home, which are just unrealistic for them because of the high cost of childcare, especially in this country. Our model of local production is obviously not going to work for everybody, but how about we hire local representatives or make sure that fair wages and not just minimum wages are paid to factory workers? And we don't have all the answers, and I know we're not the only company asking these questions, but we owe it as global citizens to take a look at ways to make a change, to make our industry more sustainable, and to make sure that human suffering is not a part of the production process. Maybe the sustainability of the future of fashion might require looking forward by looking back to how clothing was made, by re-energizing traditional regional industries, giving a new lease of life to factories in regions that used to be thriving to supply stable jobs for the next generation. Maybe it's giving artisans in India or Africa or here in the US new markets for their skills. It's giving women a chance to work from home, or even goat herders in a remote part of the world, an opportunity for a sustainable business that they can pass down to their families. By taking all these elements as a company, looking at people around the globe who make this one sweater, being conscious of the decisions we make in materials and where and how we produce, have repercussions both good and bad globally. By investing in people, teaching new skills, valuing traditional skills, developing a business model that values and recognizes the people who make up our supply chain. By passing that information on to you, the customer, maybe that's how we stitch the world together, one sweater at a time. Thank you.